And we are live. Hello, and welcome to our Dave's Gone Wild.
Wait.
I mean,
What?
for the Mighty Dave
What?
Show. I'm your host, Blinson. I'm your host, Dave Ball, also known as Blinson on Reddit or at Blinson1 on Twitter. And with me, as always, is the panel of Daves. So, LA Kings Dave, why don't you go first and introduce yourself?
I'm LA Kings Dave. There you go.
Uh,
I don't have anything else to say, so go ahead.
I'm David Gamboa, even though my name is David. But yeah,
All right, I am David, and I am not wearing any pants right now.
So you joined us. You joined me in that?
I have no shirt on, so there's that. if we're putting this out there,
Anyway,
Whoa.
uh, okay, I guess so. I guess the intros are done now.
yeah. So basically, the Flyers' new subreddit is
Crew
great.
ever. We are on top of it.
And everyone missed that, so.
I know.
Anyway, yes. I guess we'll just get this out of the way, so, Gamboa, just start gloating. Just go.
So okay. To be fair, we actually went easy. Okay, so with this Flyer subreddit and the Rangers subreddit had a bet that whoever lost the series had to have a banner up of the team, and so I created a really crappy '90s internet banner. It literally looks like, I don't know, like MySpace or something, and I almost added Atkinson's ass in there. Wait, am I allowed to say ass on this thing?
Yeah, go
Because
ahead.
I guess
People
on one,
curse all the time.
so I guess on one, I guess there was this. I don't know if you saw it on our hockey, but there was like Atkinson's ass was just there on the camera, and people wanted me to put it right in the middle of everything, but I spared you guys. So there you go. So we won.
Yeah, we had to make our
We have
subreddit
a
not
90s
safe for
internet
work
banner.
one.
I'm looking at this banner right now, and you weren't kidding. That this looks like something I would find on a GeoCities website.
I'm telling you, it sucks.
Honestly, it could have been a lot worse. It could have been a lot
Oh, yeah.
worse, so,
We went easy on you guys.
yeah.
It is so beautifully horrific.
Hey, Dave Blinson, can you tweet out the YouTube
The
link
YouTube
and not the Google Plus link? Because the one you tweeted out, people can't join through that.
Okay,
So they need the YouTube link.
works for me.
Because nobody's listening, and
We have one.
somebody just asked me where's the link, so.
Okay, that's been tweeted out. So, okay. Now that the Band-Aid's ripped off, I guess we'll go into what we're going to talk about today, and we're going to cover yesterday's games, today's games, and the rest of the round two, I guess, as well as the newest award that's been put out, which is the NHL Foundation Award. So, I guess we would get started in our first segment.
I was pretty surprised that Montreal won Game 1.
Yeah.
I was watching the game. I thought, I mean, there's even a GIF set posted on our hockey just of all the chances that Boston had. I mean, there's even that one goal that could have been where the puck skittered right across the crease, right on the goal line.
Yeah.
I thought that was definitely in, but
Mm-hmm.
so that's going to shape up
I
to be a
think
good
Montreal
series. But
got lucky. Well, they got lucky, but they also cleared the crease really well. So, I mean, if Price did give up a rebound, because he was amazing the rest of the time, but if he did give up a rebound or something squeaked through, Montreal was really quick at getting it out.
Mm-hmm. From what I understand, Price played amazing during the game.
Oh, yeah. Both of them.
Though if you ask Tuukka Rask, who didn't play that good.
I was very surprised. I
think
know that Rask said that he played like shit. Those were his exact words, but I didn't think he necessarily played that badly. It's just Boston didn't convert on their chances, which was the problem because they thoroughly outplayed Montreal.
So with
Oh, yeah.
Rask, he hasn't really beat the Canadians at home. He's like what 3-11 and something. I think it was posted on Reddit.
I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I know that Montreal did win the season series 3 games to 1.
Yeah, with the loss last night, Raska it has a 3-11-3 record against Canadian and 1-10 record against Price.
Wow.
Wow.
So this is going to be an interesting series then.
Oh yeah.
Sounds so. Basically, what you're saying, since the Rangers can't beat the Habs at home, what you're saying is the Habs are going to make the Stanley Cup Finals.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
We don't want
be
the Habs winning
surprised.
another cup. We don't want that.
No, because if
There
the
you
Canadian
go, so
team
much
wins
to
the
talk
cup,
about.
who are we going to yell at now?
Yeah. We still yell at Toronto.
Do you think though, if they get by Boston, which I don't think that they will, just based on the way Boston dominated them, but obviously there's no guarantee.
Mhm.
I think that they could beat either team on the other side, so I don't count
Yeah.
Montreal out.
As long as the Penguins don't win, I'm happy.
Me too.
That's how I feel right now. As long as the Penguins don't win, and as long as the Rangers
Might be
don't win the
biased,
cup,
I agree. Well, that
you
okay,
guys
that
can
I don't
flare out in the conference finals.
agree.
I want to remove that
Again.
banner so bad.
Who's going to be the new Henrique? So I can hate them forever. I walked out of the shower the other day, and like now that my hair's a little bit longer, my brother he meant to compliment me and say I looked like Henrik just because felt like being nice, and he said, hey, you look like Henrique.
Oh,
And him being a Devils fan, that one hurt.
beauty.
Nasty. Hey,
Okay.
so I wanted to just talk a little bit about last night after the game, because obviously
Okay.
PK Subban had 2 goals, and he is of course black. And Boston, on social media, a lot of the fans were calling him the N-word and just going off about racist stuff. And this is the second time this has happened in the last 3 years with Boston fans. After the situation with Joel Ward when they got eliminated by Washington a couple years ago. I don't know that much about Boston. I've never been there. I don't like to assume just because of one area, but is this something that you guys notice on the East Coast about Boston as well, or is it just a few fans? Because I haven't necessarily seen that from other fan bases, or is it just a couple rare instances where you just happen to have black players doing well against Boston and then they go off on it? It seemed it's been isolated the last couple of years to Boston. So is this a Boston problem, or is this just
I
an
don't
NHL fans problem?
It's
I
definitely
think
not-
this is.
Go ahead.
I think there was an interesting comment on Reddit about how the Bruins culture now and where they play, a really tough, grinded out style attracts more people that are, boneheads. And so that was actually an interesting point where, if you play out this grind out style, the people that are going to be fans of that grind out style are perhaps a certain type of people. So it's interesting. It would be interesting if there was some way to figure out if that actually, contributes to all these comments that are happening for the past couple of years. Because I don't remember the Bruins being unclassy forever, if you know what I mean.
Well, they have Jerome McGinley on their team as well, and obviously he's half black.
They also have Malcolm Subban in their system
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
His brother.
Yeah, I don't think it's just isolated to Boston. I just think it was some random crummy fans that decided to act out against the loss because he was the most prolific player on the ice.
Well, I saw
couple
a
years-
stat. It was like 17,000 racist tweets that involved the N-word against
That is
Subban last night.
pretty crazy, but also you also have to count for the fact too that Boston is on not really recent, but I mean they did win the cup in 2011, so
They do have a lot of bandwagons still flushing.
yeah, a lot of
probably.
new fans too, just from their success this year as well. I
That's
don't-
true.
I don't think they're. I mean, I wouldn't even say those tweets are even representative of the fan base. It's pretty disgusting, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to look down on Boston fans just because of what some idiots say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think of Boston management and Cam Neely's response, though, where he
I don't-
basically gave like a 2-line response saying,
Yeah.
this is not a representation of the Boston organization? It felt a little bit weak to me.
Yeah, I think he should have said something more. What he could have said, I don't know, but he should have made it longer and made it seem like that is not what we want. That is not who we
Yeah,
are. That's not what we want. You need to show more class than that.
I think though keeping it short was kind of a good idea though because you don't want to distract the team with what happened.
That is true. He was trying to, I guess, just get it done and over with and just let it go.
Yeah, just move on from just move on from what happened.
Don't
What
draw
happened.
attention to it.
Yeah.
So you think maybe it would have been a more pronounced discussion if it was during the regular season or something like that?
Well, I don't know. Would this even be happening in the regular season?
You
Probably
don't have as
yeah.
much tension in the regular season as you do
Yeah.
now.
Because I mean, look how much this series has been talked up. Because it's biggest rivalry in hockey probably in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Mhm.
And what's at with what's at stake. But yeah, if this happened in the regular season, I really don't. If it would have happened, I'd say it's way more isolated than what it was
Yeah,
last
'cause
night.
I have a friend who's a Habs fan, and when they played Boston during the regular season, I know she got a few things from because she loves PK Subban, that's her favorite player. So I know that when they played in the regular season, she got a lot of crap, and a lot of people were saying pretty racist things too about like him to her. So it happens. It's just not as it's a lot more isolated.
I think too, this was pointed out. I saw this on Twitter that people kind of went searching for it as well.
Hmm.
Because my Twitter feed wasn't even. I mean, I don't really follow a whole lot of Habs fans, or Boston fans, but I mean, my timeline wasn't really filled with it. I didn't really see people retweeting about it, except that people, needed to, act like adults.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't really see
Alright.
much about it, so I didn't even know what happened until this morning.
Yeah. I feel like maybe I'm a little bit more sensitive to race, though. It's
Mhm.
just something I just don't understand.
Yeah.
But anyway, on to better things.
On to more happy subjects.
I just wanted to throw out here really quick. Obviously, you guys are listening live. You probably know that New York's up 2-0 right now on the Penguins. Gambo is excited.
A little bit.
I've been following the AHL playoffs pretty closely this year, and we got 5 games tonight. St. John's is currently beating Albany 4-1 in the third, and they're up 2-1 in that series. And then we got Grand Rapids losing right now to Abbotsford 1-0 in the second. And we got Scranton beating Binghamton 2-0 in the second. And Norfolk is beating Manchester 1-0 after the first. And then later tonight we got Chicago and Rochester playing each other.
How are they actually? Are they looking like a strong series going on out there? I haven't had a chance to really follow them, so.
The Manchester series?
No, any of the series in general, are any of them like really like close as of right now? I'm not sure how many games in or each one are.
I've mostly been following Manchester because it's the Kings versus Ducks farm teams.
Okay.
So we got the Kings Ducks farm teams playing each other, and then also the Kings and Ducks playing each other this week. But John Gibson, who most of you know as an elite goalie prospect in the Ducks system, and also he played for the U.S. Junior team. He's on Norfolk, and he's been playing really well. And they have a 2-1 series lead right now in that. But Manchester was number 1 in the East, so I'm a little bit surprised by that, and I was hoping that Manchester would show up better. But as of right now, I think that series. And then if Abbotsford wins tonight, they're going to be tied 2-2 with Grand Rapids, and Grand Rapids is defending champion, and they're expected to do well again.
Stupid
Okay.
Detroit.
But yeah, stupid Detroit. A lot of their players spent time up in Detroit, obviously, this season too.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I guess we'll get into talking really more in depth about last night's game. And it ended with, as I think we said before, the Montreal winning 4-3 in the second overtime. Goals for Montreal by PK Subban, Rene Bourque, and Francis Bullion. I don't know how to say his name. And then PK Subban scoring again to score the overtime winner. Then goals by Riley Smith and Torrey Krug.
Krug.
And then Johnny Borchuk also scoring for them.
Boychuk's celebration was kind of ridiculous.
The
A little
gunfire,
bit.
I think he did.
I'm glad.
I get that he tied it up and like he's excited, but
I mean, there was
I don't
like
know.
minutes left in the game, so.
Selly hard.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I wish
Yeah,
more
defenders
players
came
would
up
show
huge, I
emotion
think.
like that. Seems like everyone does the same celebration stuff, and then if anybody does anything different, they get criticized. And
Mm-hmm.
luckily, we don't have celebration rules like in the NFL or something. But
Pretty
Thank
horrible.
goodness.
I feel like if you celebrate too hard, somebody on their team might punch you in the face, and you're like, well, come on, you're just celebrating.
No one's gonna do what like Sean Avery did for his one celebration. He did push-ups in the middle of the ice.
Yeah, he did that on the Kings. I remember that.
Everyone loves Sean Avery on their team.
Uh,
Yeah, defenders came up huge. I wonder if they'll keep playing that big of a role. I mean, I know PK Subban will play that big of a role, but I mean, Boychuk scored, Bouillon scored. You know, is Bouillon even a defender? I don't remember.
I don't know.
I think he's a defender.
I don't believe so.
Probably
Let
not.
me check.
Let's see.
He is a defenseman.
He is cool. Yeah, defensemen scored so many goals yesterday. It's ridiculous.
They did, didn't they? Wow.
For teams that have a lot of offensive power, you know.
Yeah. But you just take scoring from what you can get, so.
Yeah, true.
Okay,
Do you guys think that I don't know? I know maybe it's moving on to the next thing, but with the way that Boston dominated Game 1, how much is Montreal going to adjust in Game 2?
I think that they're probably going to have to adjust something because they just cannot rely solely on Carey Price to carry the team. As you know, a fan of a team that basically used their goalie to carry it, you can't do that. So
Right.
yeah.
At the same time, they've kind of done that all season, you know. I think that they won, and that I've watched a lot of Montreal games. I like Montreal, and a lot of the season they were. I mean, that looked like a Montreal game. That's exactly how they play. You know, they get outshot, but they play well. They play decently defensively, and then Carey Price is there to save them. And all that Montreal does is cover the front of the net. And so that's basically what they did yesterday. And so, although I think they'll change maybe a little bit how they mark up, because a lot of Bruins players were left way too wide open and given way too much space. I think they'll change that. But as far as most of their game, I don't think they're going to change much. I think Boston's going to dominate a lot of the series.
The Habs are really good in transition too. So I think if Boston can control that, then
Yeah.
I don't want to say they're going to be in the driver's seat for the whole round, but I think the Habs will have to. Yeah, the Habs are going to have to think of some different zone entry strategies if they want to win.
Yeah, if I were the Bruins too, I'd be scared to play at the Bell Center because from what I saw against Tampa, the Habs are different. Well, being a Rangers fan too, I know this, but the Habs are a completely different team at the Bell Center. They're scary as hell.
They have one of the best, loudest stadiums in NHL, so
Oh yeah.
they definitely have a huge home ice advantage. Do you think? How do you gauge Terrion as a coach?
Better than what
Obviously,
Montreal's had
Julian's
in a
had a
while.
lot of success, and we know that he's a good coach. But where would you put him in comparison to other people in the league?
I think he's really more of an average coach in my opinion.
Mhm.
He's not the big flashy. It doesn't seem, but he gets the job done in and out of the night. So that's my personal opinion of him. I don't really see much of his work. Him being in a different division than us. We only play him a couple games a year. I don't get to follow them as much.
I think he's a good matchup coach. I think that's his specialty. But then, other than that, he doesn't. I don't think he offers too much. I think he like you said, he's more of an average coach. And compared to Claude Julien, who he's playing right now, Claude Julien is on a whole other level compared to him. I think Terrien is he just has a good team, and what he's doing has worked. So, damn it, the Pens scored.
Oh. I guess.
Scoring
score
a bit. Who
update.
scored for them?
I'll get that to you guys.
Not
in a
to change the
second,
subject, but-
So. Let's see. Was doesn't say yet.
Well, we got the update
Yeah.
that later.
Yeah, I'll tell
I
you.
got a couple questions from people here.
Cool.
So let's see what the first one. We'll go to Twitter first because this one was asked before even show started. Who do you think the MVP for the first round is? That was asked by Support the Surreal on Reddit or Matthew Jensen.
Obviously a homer pick, but I'm going with Kopitar.
Mm-hmm.
I think that coming back from that 3-0 series deficit, he's tied for league lead in scoring now. He had 5 of those points, I think, in the last 2 games when they needed him the most. And I know that Quick was stepped up his game in the last 4 games, but Kopitar was good throughout the entire series. He scored he had a point in all 7 games. There were guys like Parise who's tied with him in points. Parise also had a 4-point game in there as well, whereas Kopitar was consistent throughout all 7. And I think it's either him or Rask right now for the Conn Smythe lead. But Rask after last night, I don't know if you could just say that anymore.
Okay. For me, I'm going to go homer pick also and say Steve Mason was probably one of the best players in that first round. He
Amazing.
basically carried the Flyers to that 7 games after he started Game 4. Yeah, that's my pick. I'm not going to go too much into it because we're out of the first round now, so I don't really like to think about it.
I'll give it to Parise. Or Parise or Suter. I don't know. I was really impressed with how Parise carried the team. I mean, he didn't carry the team, but I think leadership-wise, he really carried the team. And in his play, he spoke with it. He didn't have to score points. He just played so solid, and game in and game out. And I think that the Wild, they had a chance because of Parise and Suter's play. So I'd give it to either one of those guys. You're welcome, other Dave.
Thank you.
I'm going to say Matt Cook. He loves Matt Cook.
Actually, you know what? I brought up that the Wild had won Game 7, and somebody said that they won it because of the Matt Cook play, and I agreed. I said that was the play of the series because basically, I mean, when you think about it, that kind of shifted. It took out their best offensive defenseman.
Yeah. He
So
had the most points in the regular season for him.
Yeah, so if you want to look at it that way, then yeah, sure, Matt Cook was the MVP. But I'm not going to say that. I'm going to go with Suter. I mean, he was responsible for shutting down the Landeskog, Stastny, McKinnon line at home. Did a decent job, because they don't have last change at home either. But yeah, I got to go with Suter. He's playing big minutes.
He is playing. He's playing what 30 minutes a night for you guys?
Like
that?
I think this year his average dropped a little bit to 25 or 26, but
still a lot of minutes.
Yep.
We got some questions on the Q&A here in the chat, too.
Okay, so we'll go for the first one from Ryan. Golf from Miami. It's who has the coolest name in hockey?
Historically or currently? Because
Any.
Jeff Bukaboom is my favorite.
That name is so cool.
What's that?
That name is so cool.
Yeah, I like it the most.
You gotta go with Cal Clutterbuck, though. I can't even say the name.
I don't know.
that was my pick.
That's like everyone's pick. It's such like a hockey name.
Oh, what's... I had one, and I completely forgot.
Man.
I think
Yeah,
right
probably.
now, aside from Clutter... Go ahead.
No, go ahead now. I'm still thinking.
No, I like... Oh, man.
Now you even forgot.
No, I forgot to. Oh, well.
Damn it. This is a train wreck now. Thanks, Ryan.
You're ruining our podcast, Ryan.
Ryan. I don't know. That's a tough question.
How about
we'll just
best
give it to
name
Clutterbuck.
on your team?
Best name on the team?
But there's so many.
On
There's
your
so
home-
many
on your
good
team.
last names, but they don't always like go well with the first name. You know, I mean, like Cam Fowler works great for the Ducks because you know Fowler and Ducks, but there's just I don't know. It's hard to pick like a full name.
Yeah.
Yalmerson, which nobody ever pronounces correctly because he has that H in front of his name.
Hmm.
How would you even? I don't understand people who try to throw the H in there. It makes no sense.
Hjalmarsson.
Hjalmarsson.
Yalmerson.
I probably would say it wrong, so I'm not even going to say anything. Oh, we have Boone Jenner.
Ooh, that is a good
Oh,
name.
that is a good name.
Whenever I
Oh,
hear
that-
Boone
yeah.
Jenner, I always think of that's just a good old boy right there.
Is he from Ontario? He sounds like he's from Ontario.
Boone Jenner?
Yeah,
I don't know where he's from. Let
I'm
me
looking
find
it up
out.
right now.
He is from Ontario.
Yep.
Aha! You see? Anyway. No, you didn't.
And
Obviously, another guy on his team has a great name, but that's more because of pop culture reference now at this point, is Bobrovsky. But
Bobrovsky.
I like
Yeah.
Zuccarello. Just because we chant Zook, but
I don't. Frodo Baggins looking fuck.
His first name makes me angry.
Matt.
Matt
Yeah.
It's like,
I
looks
mean,
like his hair.
Norwegian. What can you do about
I
that?
always thought it was Matt until I finally looked at the name and like, oh, there's an S and one T. It's not Matt. And I got very angry because I've been saying it wrong this entire time.
It took me a long time to learn to spell his last name.
I'm not even gonna attempt to try to spell his last name. I sometimes have trouble with my last name. It's only 4 letters, and it's Ball. So I guess we're done that question now.
Yep.
And there's do you want to go to the? I think there was another question that was on Twitter. Where was that?
Oh, I like UC Jokinen too.
Mm-hmm. Where is it? Who do we have winning the Battle of California? I guess
I'm
we'll
going-
slide into second round talk now.
I'm going with LA.
Yeah, I can
like
see LA doing
Anaheim
it.
all
Yeah.
year, though. Well, I mean, they were good battles, but Anaheim dominated every game they played this season.
If Quick
So
plays
I'm going
playoff-
Anaheim.
Not every game.
Almost every
I'm
game.
going to disagree with you because 2 of those victories that Anaheim had, we actually outshot them and outchanced them.
Mhm.
It's just we didn't score.
So that's like a
I
normal
wouldn't-
Kings game.
Yeah, it's normal Kings hockey, obviously, but I'm just gonna say that even though the series was 4-0-1, I would say it was a lot closer than that number says, just because I felt we outplayed them in 2 of those losses, and we just didn't convert. So
Okay.
Was that before Gaborik, too?
I think Gaborik only played in 1 of the games,
Okay.
which was the last game of the season, and I don't even know if he actually played in that, because we sat a bunch of people.
Yeah, that'll be Yeah, I think that'll be a big factor too. They have more offense, so yeah, you're right. I think it'll be a close series. My pick
it's
is
probably gonna
Anaheim,
go to
but
6 or 7 games.
oh yeah,
It's gonna be one of the games that are going to 7 games, which is what we asked all the people that are listening to us, and we had 2 replies. I think it was. They said the Habs are going to go to 7 games, and the Kings and Ducks are going to go to 7 games. Habs and Bruins, I mean. Both series are probably going to go 7, which I can see both going 7.
I can see that happening.
I don't know. I think the Kings will take it in 6. Quick's starting to get into playoff mode, and I mean, especially evident too that the whole team is as well with the reverse sweep on the Sharks.
Mm-hmm.
And
I didn't even think of the Anaheim problem in goaltending. I mean, who are they gonna play?
Well, they're starting Anderson, as far as I know, and this is something I'm worried about for them. If I was an Anaheim fan, I'd think, how short is his leash? Because you have Hiller, who's traditionally been okay against the Kings, and he has playoff experience, obviously, but he finished the season really poorly. Boudreau has always had goalie problems in the playoffs, I don't know what happens if Anderson has one bad game. Will Hiller come in and continue starting? How much faith do you have in either one at this point? The Kings really need to rattle both of them, in my opinion, in order to make this a quick series. I don't think it's going to be a quick series, but I think the Kings are going to eventually win at this point just because of that goalie problem more than anything. Because Anaheim's offense has obviously been better than ours this season, but our defense has been better. So it comes down to goaltending, in my opinion. Because I think the rest of it's going to. Both teams struggled on the power play this season for whatever reason, even though they have decent offensive players, you would think, on a power play. And you have offense versus defense. Ducks were top 5 in offense. Kings were best in defense. And so if that's the case, it all comes down to Jonathan Quick versus whoever. And I take Jonathan Quick.
Definitely. And just
By the way, Pittsburgh scored again.
they're reviewing it
Yeah,
now, though.
damn
It
it.
seems like
It's a goal.
either a high stick or it looked like slight goaltender interference. Like his stick hit Lundqvist's glove.
Yeah, he definitely knocked Lundqvist's glove into the post, which is stupid and it's kind of pissing me off right now. But because Lundqvist couldn't make a play on it, but Malkin didn't touch the puck.
Yeah.
He just pushed Lundqvist's glove. Gee. Fuck.
Here's the call, and they're gonna talk first. Getting out, and let's see what he says.
I'm gonna have to use that if I ever become a player. Just push the goalie's glove into the post.
It's a good goal, so it's now tied up 2-2.
Ouch.
Are they giving that to Malkin?
Yep.
He didn't even. Did
No,
he touch it? He didn't even touch it.
He
Did
didn't
he?
No, he
touch
didn't.
it. Yeah, he looked like he went right for the glove to hold it down, to hold his Lundqvist's glove from making the play.
Exactly.
I don't think that should be a goal. He stopped Lundqvist from attempting to make a play.
I feel like that's goalie interference, even if it's not
Yeah.
a penalty.
He didn't
Yeah,
even go for the
You don't
puck.
call that a penalty? How do you not call that at least interference?
he stopped Lundqvist from going for the puck.
That
But,
seems like a BS call to me. If I was sorry, Gamboa, but
yeah.
No, it's
I'm not
true.
even.
You
I don't even really care who wins the series because I don't. Whatever, but
That's
I just feel like
yes call.
that was a pretty bad call.
we've been getting screwed by the refs all year.
I was gonna say it seems this year, especially in the playoffs, the
The
refereeing
refs
has
have
just
been
been
horrible
terrible.
in the playoffs. It's been
And usually they're really good. I love NHL refs compared to any other league's refs, but this year in the playoffs they've just been screwing it up. I feel like maybe it's that they have not a lot of new refs
That
in the
could
league
be
this
it,
year,
yeah.
so that might be what it is.
I don't think they send out new refs to ref in the playoffs though.
No,
There is
they
one that's the
generally
second
once
year,
you
right?
get to this point, I mean, you only have 4 series. You should have the best refs. But if he called up to Toronto, then that might be a Toronto call.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you could blame the ref on that one.
Can Toronto call goaltender interference and stuff like that?
No,
Nope.
that's a judgment call.
No.
Yeah. So that could
And
be
the
why it
ref
wasn't
called it a goal
overturned.
on the play.
Yeah, so that's probably why they couldn't overturn it, because I don't think they can say goaltender interference, no goal.
Huh.
Yeah. So, what were we going on before that happens?
We were talking about the LA and the Ducks series.
Okay.
I agree with that. It's probably going to come down to a goaltender duel. I also think though that if the Kings can get Perry and Getzlaf off of their game like Garbett and Roussel did in the first round, then they can make quick work of the Ducks.
Yeah.
Because the Stars did a really good job of frustrating the both of them, and it got them off their game, and they were pretty much ineffective because they turned it. I'm going to say they turned into crybabies, but I mean, I was cheering for the Ducks in that series, but it was pretty evident that how frustrating those two were, and it was showing on the ice too.
Okay. Yeah. I really should start watching more West Coast hockey.
You should, and I mentioned that I was
I know.
listening to your show earlier in the week with Blake, and I was thinking, you should really
So
because
late.
I mean, no offense to the East Coast, and I know I'm a West Coast guy, but we had the better teams this season. We have for a couple seasons now overall.
Mm-hmm.
West Coast hockey is pretty good,
It's just
and I
on
know
so late, so I have, we got to wake up early for work, so I have trouble being able to watch it. mean, your games start at 10 o'clock for me out here, and that's the time I'm going to bed. 10, 11
Yeah.
o'clock. So.
It's true. That's why you get Game Center and then just watch them in the morning.
Yeah, but I don't wake. Well, I would wake up so early for that,
It's true.
and you don't understand my laziness when it comes to waking up. It's a
I think
constant
we
battle
all
to
feel
force
that one.
myself to get out of bed in the morning.
No excuses, Dave. Play like a champion.
I heard that's rule number 76 or something. Well,
So I guess
we-
go. Where are we going next? Hit Chicago and Minnesota.
how much time does Gamboa have left, or is he taking off?
No, I'm gonna stick around. I don't have to leave, so I'm
Okay.
good.
No, okay.
Apparently, a goaltender interference is not reviewable, so that's why they called it a goal. So, just having that be that was posted to us on the Twitter.
They need to change that next year.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, Chicago, Minnesota. I will start this one off. Actually, you know what? I don't want to start this off. It's going to get too depressing.
I guess
Why
we'll
is it
start off.
depressing? You beat them in the season series.
And be happy, your team's still in the playoffs.
You
I
beat
just-
them in the season series. You just beat Colorado, and Colorado played Chicago better than almost anyone this season.
The Colorado Minnesota series, though, that was such a draining series, emotionally and physically. And with LA too, they kind of have a playoff mode. Well, Chicago does too. It's just a switch that they turn on. I mean, look at how they play. Look at how they played St. Louis too. They're able to get a win at St. Louis, that's ridiculously tough in the West this year to get a win away from home. I just think Chicago's just a better team up and down. If you want to compare four lines, they're a better team, and they know how to get those wins. And yeah, with that team too, just with how experienced they are in the playoffs, it's going to be tough. I would be very shocked if the Wild can take this 1-7 games. I will put it that way.
I think your biggest question mark is your goaltending.
Which
Yep,
seems
that too.
like Briz is going to be starting, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Kemper's probably out with a concussion.
Mhm.
I think that's
You
it. They
think
called it
that's
an upper.
what that was?
They called it an upper body injury. So
Most likely a concussion, yeah.
yeah, and somebody pointed this out too because I didn't see it originally. When he was after that hit happened, where he, for those that don't know, Duchesne kind of collided with Kemper a little, and he went down a little awkward, but his suitor's knee ended up hitting him in the head. And Gamboa can attest to this too. Goalie buckets aren't really made to absorb hits or anything.
No.
But when he's trying to shake it off, he was skating fine on his legs, but he looked slow looked slow out there on the ice. His reaction speed was pretty slow too. So yeah, I'm thinking it's a concussion.
I have a question for you because I don't watch a ton of Minnesota games. How do you feel your fourth line is going to play into this series? Because looking at the stats and matchups and things like that, your first line's pretty good, your second line's good, your third line's been playing better with Niederreiter and Heatley, who have played well in the second half of that last series. But your fourth line's not that great on paper.
No,
So-
it isn't.
I'm wondering how short your bench is going to be against Chicago, and do you think that you're going to have to overwork? You already overworked Suter and your defensemen. Your top defensemen get worked a lot already. So how much are you going to be able to get from your fourth line, and what do you think they're going to be able to contribute to this series?
They're going to have to be an energy line. That's plain and simple. And they're going to be playing short minutes too. Probably. I mean, I'd say 12 minutes max in a game. That'd probably be about reasonable for them. Because right now, just looking at it, I mean, we're running with McCormick on the left, Veyu on the right, and Brodziak in the center. The only one that's actually skilled on that line is Brodziak, and I'm honestly shocked that he's been able to get a couple goals and a couple assists because he's been having a terrible year. So it's going to have to be an energy line. That's strictly going to be it. I honestly wouldn't count on them to score. And that's why I said too. It's earlier that it was just a physically draining series for Minnesota because you look at Suter, he was out there, and everyone says that the guy's invincible, but at some time the guy's gonna have to slow down.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just that's just how it works.
You can't be playing 27 minutes a night, especially in the playoffs.
No, well, and you look at their lines too. For Chicago, they have Taves, Hulsa, Kane, Sharp, Brandon Saad as well, Marcus Kruger. He's actually decent. He's a decent third line center. Andrew Shaw. They all do their jobs well. And so what are you going to do? And they're all spread out. It's not like this is all just it's top end talent on one line. It's all spread out and it's all distributed evenly.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, they're going to have their hands full. And I think 7 games with the Avalanche, it's going to be pretty draining. But we'll see.
Yeah, it just seemed like in that Game 7 for the Wild, it just looked like they gave everything in that series. So it's gonna be interesting to see what they have left in the tank for this next series coming up.
Mm-hmm.
They played a lot better when they had to play desperate too.
Yeah.
When nothing was really on the line except for series lead, they didn't really. I wouldn't say they looked all that great, but I mean the first game they looked good and they just looked deflated. But when it got to Game 6 and 7, that's when they actually started playing hockey that I would want them to see playing consistently.
Mm-hmm.
I worry the same thing about the Kings because when you look at the hits numbers for every series in the first round, that Kings-Sharks series way outpaced everybody else. There was over 700 hits or something in that series.
Jeez.
So I wonder how much they got left in the tank. I know Anaheim's not as physical, but they are more skilled. But we need to use our physicality to our advantage, and I don't know how much more. Last year, Sharks beat us up, and that's why we lost. One of the reasons we lost to Chicago. So I'm wondering if it's the same problem's going to happen with Anaheim.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, Abe, let's start with you. Who are your 4 picks for the second round?
I am gonna go with the Bruins. I'm gonna take the Penguins in the East as well. Then in the West, I'm taking LA, and I'm gonna take the Hawks as well. So those are my 4.
Gamboa?
Let's see. I'll start in the West. Between the Wild and the Hawks, I'll take the Hawks. I say Anaheim gets it, and in the East, the Habs, and I really do think the Rangers can win it out if they just if they play smart. They do it. They did against Philly, and they just start to pester the Pens. So, yeah.
And I'm gonna have to go.
Well, I'm taking.
You go first, yeah.
No, go ahead.
I'll go with. I'm gonna go with the Hawks, but I think they're gonna do it in like 6 or 7. Though. I think they're gonna be pushed to 6 or 7. It's gonna be the Kings, the Bruins, and then the Rangers. I'm hoping the Rangers. Horrible, as I'm pretty much gonna probably burn my tongue after now, but I'm gonna have to go with the Rangers.
I'm taking Rangers too, and I took them in my money pool, so that I really hope they do. I took Boston. I think that even with that first game, they just look so dominant. They'll eventually come around. I took LA because I think that we're a better playoff team, and I know that Matt, Support the Surreal, is going to give me some shit on that. That's okay. And then I took Chicago just because it's the playoffs and Chicago is the defending champions, but I really want Minnesota to win that one, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I'll agree with you that I think LA is a better playoff team.
It doesn't seem like Matt Jensen's liking all of us much right now, except for Gamboa.
Except for me who chose them.
Constantly keeps saying we're all dead to him except for Gamboa. He hates all of us. He's booing us.
Well, at least I can skate down the ice successfully.
Chirped. Dave might actually get 1 goal on me.
I thought you were a sieve.
Oh, he is. 5-hole bigger than the
According
Pacific.
only according to Dave.
I asked a question on if after that Pittsburgh goal, if you think that they should allow coaches to get challenges, and Matt's saying that they should have one make the timeout the penalty. So if you get a challenge similar to NFL and you don't get it overturned, then you lose your timeout for the game.
What
That'd be-
happens
Here's my only issue
what happens if they already used their timeout? Do they lose their challenge then?
Delay a game penalty? I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, that's something they would have to think about if they were to make that type of rule.
Speaking
My
of
issue
delay,
with them-
delay of game, Trigger 23 says the same thing. He says if delay of game is the price for a failed challenge, I see no point in limiting them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that my biggest issue with them is where, if we look at all the times that people have complained about that there should be a coach's challenge, a good 75% of those times, those plays aren't even reviewable to begin with. So I think it's more of a question that we've got to start asking of what is reviewable and what shouldn't be reviewable than a coach's challenge. Because, for example, right there, that should just be reviewable. You shouldn't have to throw it to the coach.
Anything that involves a goal should be reviewable. Anything.
Here's what I wouldn't want to happen though, because the MLB has finally instituted their coaches challenge. What's been happening though is that managers have been kind of delaying a little so that they can have their guy in the dugout call up to see if they should actually challenge this or not, if they want to review it.
Mm-hmm.
And you notice on the bench too, everyone has like an iPad or a tablet of some sort so they can watch the game. What I wouldn't want happening is an assistant coach looking on it and telling his players to just kind of slowly get to the face-off or what have you, only just to delay the game just enough so that they can actually get a challenge in, or they can decide whether they want to challenge it or not. I wouldn't want to see that.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is with that is you already have those pseudo timeouts where, say, a goalie will be like, oh, I need to restrap my, pad, or oh, I'm having an equipment malfunction. So he'll skate to the bench if they've been on the defensive zone for a minute or something and they ice the puck, and then all of a sudden the same guys have to go out. The goalie will do that whole trick where he'll say that something's wrong with his equipment and go to the bench, and they basically get a 30-second timeout.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be the same kind of thing. And I know that NHL teams already use iPads on the bench before shootouts in order for goalies or shooters or whoever else to look at whoever they're facing. So yeah, it'd be the same problem.
Yeah, and I think too, I don't think there needs to be a challenge. I just think we need to give Toronto more to do. Because the thing is that Toronto has all this access, and they look at those plays before the refs even get there. It doesn't take that long, I think that we just need to settle more on what needs to be reviewed that's not being reviewed, what needs to be reviewable that isn't reviewable right now, and then just make those things reviewable, and we check them every time instead of having the coaches throw something or leaving it open to delay of game. Just review the goal and see if it's a good goal and open up more things like goalie interference and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything should be reviewable involving a goal. That's my personal opinion.
I mean, they already review them anyways. Just call the refs over and have them talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, but they still have like what happened today with Pittsburgh and Rangers. This probably was turned down because it's a non-reviewable play.
Exactly.
Interference, everything should be reviewable in the case of a goal. Doesn't
But the thing is,
matter
they went over to talk about it already, and then they find it's not reviewable. Well, just say, okay, it should have been goaltender interference. So I don't know, make the face-off out at center ice or something. Don't say, oh, it's not reviewable. I don't know. I just think that's stupid. If you're already reviewing it, then make the right call.
Do you think, though, that if you give Toronto more power, then that takes away from the referees and you would see fans or just the old school people saying, you know what, it's taking away from the... It's just making it too...
like technology,
that's one of the problems that baseball had, is everyone said, well, if you have review, you're taking that whole umpireship out of it, which is part of the love of the game. The umpire calls, balls and strikes in baseball, And in hockey, it moves so fast, and we give a lot of grief to the referees, but at the same time, it's the hardest sport to referee.
Yeah.
So if you leave it all up to Toronto to do everything in slow-mo, it's going to slow down the game, for one, which nobody really wants.
That is true.
And then it's also going to take power from the referees, and you already have 2 referees and 2 linesmen. I feel like if you do too much, then it's going to corrupt the value of the game and make it feel less like an actual game. I don't know. Maybe I'm just overthinking it, but I think with goals, though, goals should be reviewable regardless.
Yeah.
Maybe just
Yeah, I
not
think the
like
only thing
that then.
Toronto should have more power in is goals, and then leave everything else to the referees, just like it is now. But I think goals, because it's such an important part of the game, the play is already stopped because the team celebrated or did whatever. I think that that's something that should be checked, you know?
Yeah. So.
Yep, so there's that.
Speaking of checking out the scoreboard right now. It's 2-2 after the second.
Mm. How are they
Damn.
doing? How are they doing out in the AHL?
In the AHL right now,
So
we
it's like
got
the same
Grand
scores.
Rapids is now at 3-2 over Abbotsford at the end of the second. Scranton's up 4-0 on Binghamton. Norfolk is still up 1-0 on Manchester. Rochester, coming out strong, scores 2 in the first 2 minutes against Chicago.
Mhm.
They're up 2-0 with 18 minutes still left to play in the first. And St. John's beat Albany 4-1.
Okay. I was very confused because I had it still loaded from the last time you talked about it, and the scores didn't update. So I was like, where are you getting these numbers from? Because apparently they don't update on the fly like the NHL site does. You actually
Now
have to refresh.
the AHL site really needs to be redone, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's kind of lacking.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the Flyers banner subreddit.
We talked. We're done with that topic. That was like 20 topics ago. Okay, we're done.
You know, I gotta say, when all these banner flares and or banner wagers and things like that, who do you think has the best banner wager so far? Because I thought the New York one was pretty good. No offense to Philly, but that one with Carcillo, and Carcillo was one of the Kings earlier, so I just thought it was pretty funny because the whole Carcillo like stepping up to the crowd in Philly, and I don't know.
If you would go away, I would be very happy.
Oh, he went away. We're in Pittsburgh now.
I hate you.
Let's see, what else did we? Oh, did we preview the Rangers Penguin series?
No, I think we kind of just skipped over that actually.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Nobody cares about those teams anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, who cares about the series? It's the only one that's not a rivalry. Who cares?
So, what do you guys think is going to happen with Fleury there?
It's hard to tell.
I hope we can get one bad one on him, and then kind of shake his confidence there.
For me, it's hard to tell because he let in some pretty weak goals in the Columbus series, and not just the one on the third goal that led to OT. I think just overall he had some weak goals, but at the same time too, he looked pretty decent in net, and it just looked kind of like shaking out the first round jitters, so to speak. Because this is going to be a big opportunity for him. Because especially if he has another meltdown, people in Pittsburgh are going to want him out.
Yeah.
I think the thing
He's
is,
really playing for his job right now.
the thing too you have to think about is if the Rangers can keep the Pens from scoring, the reason the Pens won that series isn't because of Fleury's goaltending. Fleury played well, but the thing is that Pittsburgh was scoring 4 or 5 goals a game, so Fleury could let in as many goals as he wanted technically, and Pittsburgh was going to back him up with offense. And the games that they lost was when Pittsburgh didn't have enough offense. And so I think that if the Rangers can hold them back from scoring, and we can get a few. Fleury already let one week one in on with us, so I think we just have to limit their offense, and Fleury will do his job for us.
Here's hoping.
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions for Gamboa.
Yeah.
I know I saw earlier today that Rick Nash has 30 shots on goal already before today in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So he's obviously putting the puck on the net. He's not scoring. Do you think he's just taking poor shots, or do you think it's just bad luck, or what? Because it seems like he's getting at least opportunity to shoot. So is he trying too hard and shooting too much when he should be passing, or is it just he's getting lined up well against defensively?
No, he's taking terrible shot selection. He's taking terrible shots, choosing terrible moments to shoot, and that's not the only thing that he's doing. I mean, as far as he should be passing a lot of those pucks, and a lot of those pucks shouldn't be shot. They should just be dumped in, or he should just keep possession. And that's been one of my biggest issues with him since he's come over, and a lot of Rangers fans don't agree with me. But the thing is that he's too individual, and he's a great individual player, and he's a great power forward. But the thing is that, especially in that Game 7, there were so many moments where he took shots or did some kind of spinorama, and he lost the puck for us when he could have gotten it deep and killed off another 2-3 seconds. Mm-hmm. So I just don't know what's wrong with Nash. I don't know what his deal is, because I don't know how you can take 30 shots as a 20-something goal scorer and not score. So I personally, I think we should drop him some lines. He needs to be woken up. He has one goal in the playoffs with us, and last year we got to the second round. So I don't know.
I mean, he kind of ran into Steve Mason and Coots basically out in Philly, so Coots was tasked to hold him, and Couturier is a really good defensive forward, as we all found out. So that's kind of why he probably got shut down a little bit in New York. I mean, against the Philly, but also running into Steve Mason, it was kind of probably something that didn't help him either.
Yeah. But then the question is, he got 30 shots. So in a way, he can't complain that he was marked so much that he couldn't perform, because 30 shots is a hell of a lot. He leads our team. So, when a player is leading your team in shots but hasn't scored one goal, I don't know. Personally, I see a huge problem there.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you move then, though? Because if you think he should be moved down, he's on the top line right now, right?
Yeah.
With Stefan and St. Louis. So your second line's actually been playing pretty well with Zuccarello and Pouliot, right?
Yeah.
And Carcelo's been scoring with Brad Richards. So do you move Hagelin and drop Nash down to there? Because he's not a fourth-line player. Nash is not going to play on a fourth line with Dominic Moore.
No.
Yeah, no. You don't put him there.
No, if he did, I think the only two people that we bring up would either be Richards or Hagelin. That's the only ones that make sense, because we're not going to touch the second line. The second line has been our best line all year.
But then who plays third line center? Because Richards plays center, so you move Stepan, or what do you do?
No, don't move Stepan. I don't know. We'd probably. What have we done in the past? I'm trying to remember. We've had Pouliot sometimes play the center, so Pouliot's on. What's it called? Who would play that line? I have no idea. That's the problem right now. That's why we can't hold Nash accountable, because we can't move anyone. The only person would be Hagelin, and we've dropped Nash once to put Hagelin up there, so that's the only guy. But still, that's our biggest problem. I mean, we can't drop anyone because our other lines are so solid, and then there's our first line that just isn't getting it done. So
I found it kind of interesting that you said that Nash is kind of a selfish player and he tries to do everything himself, because that's what he had to do. That's what he had to do in Columbus practically his whole career.
You think that's basically kind of screwed him over there, really?
He's got an offensive.
Force him to think like that.
He's got an offensive coach in New York now, so I just don't see what the deal is now that his production is so down.
Yeah.
There's no excuse, and I think at the end of the day, I wouldn't complain if he had put in at least one goal, but the thing is he hasn't scored, and he hasn't made good decisions on the offense. And I'm not saying he's selfish and that he doesn't play well, it's just the choices he makes a lot of the times are not in the best interest of the team. They're not smart hockey choices. And in reality, the only time that his his individualism really helped us, or kind of helped, was that one time in Game 6, I think it was, or 5, where we were down and it was the last 30 seconds and Nash just took over and no one could take the puck from him. But you can look in our Rangers subreddit and everything and we all talk about it. That's the only time we've ever seen Nash show up. I just don't know what's up with the guy. And like you said, we have an offensive coach. That's not an excuse anymore. So I don't know. It's frustrating though as a Rangers fan for sure.
Yeah. Sounds it.
I think
He's
it's pretty easy to say that Columbus won that trade.
Oh yeah, no, I said that from the beginning. No one, a lot of Rangers fans were in doubt. But the thing was that we had Torts at that time.
So much depth in that trade.
Oh yeah, and especially that was our style at the time. Dubé, Anisimov, those were our guys. Sure, our team wasn't great, but under Torts, those guys were perfect for his system. So yeah, that trade definitely went to Columbus.
We have a question on the Q&A. I don't know if you guys saw that or not.
I don't know.
That was when we were talking about the review. We kind of touched on this a little bit, but I guess we'll go back for it. Do you think that if you review still and that they say it's not, what would happen? So basically, if it was reviewed and what was called on the ice still happened, it would be like a delay of game, or if they have a timeout, they lose their timeout. Really, I think that's what we kind of say.
Yeah, just the delay game.
Yeah.
That'd
We
be
still only get one challenge.
Yeah, one challenge for one timeout. And
Yeah.
it shouldn't be just maybe they should make it like a 4-minute delay of game, just so it's kind of less, maybe that kind of thing, maybe.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're just going to use it and burn a 2-minute if you have a really good penalty kill.
Or why not just make it like the NFL, and if you used up your timeouts, then you're done. You can't
That
use
could
it
be too.
anymore.
Yeah, you could do that.
You take a choice of either a challenge or a timeout.
Mm-hmm.
true.
Okay, that could be something they do. So.
I got somebody at my door. I will be back in like 30 seconds. Sorry.
So unprofessional. So unprofessional. Anyway, yeah, so I saw that we have, since we're going to be moving, I guess, into the NHL awards now, because I think we covered enough for the Pittsburgh, New York.
Yeah.
Okay, so the NHL awards are up next, and it was the NHL Foundation Award was released today, with Bergeron, Keith, and Burns being nominated. And the first thing I guess we have to ask is, does anyone really care?
No.
What is that award? I don't even know what
It
that
is,
award is.
Okay, it is the award. It's awarded annually to the NHL player who applies the core values of ice hockey: commitment, perseverance, and teamwork to enrich the lives of people in his community.
Yeah, and we don't know. I mean, Zetterberg won it last year, Mike Fisher the year before, so not quite sure who we think is out of the three are going to win it.
This award, we had this conversation earlier. This award is like the Marc Messier Leadership Award. It's just
Not picked by Marc Messier.
yeah, it's just this award. I'm not gonna say it's dumb because you're rewarding someone for their charitable efforts, but we already have the King Clancy, like Dave said earlier. LA Kings, Dave, I guess.
So
I'm back, by the way.
The Foundation
Sorry,
Award
there
just
was
seems.
somebody selling candy.
Oh.
buy any?
No, it's for some charity. I don't know.
Anyway, yeah.
This award just seems superfluous.
Yeah. They definitely have probably too many of the awards that don't really mean much now.
Well, I mean, I like most of the current awards that are around, but
Yeah.
the two that I would get rid of are the Foundation and the Messier Leadership Award.
What, you don't like the Messier Award?
No. Not at
I
all.
like
He nominates everyone and picks his own winner. Like there's not even a need for nomination.
And he named it after
Announce
himself.
the winner himself and be like, you know what? I really like this guy. Instead, he nominates Dustin Brown every year and then doesn't let him win. It's like, what's the point?
It's like say whoever's
I like him, but he doesn't ever win. So why don't you just not do this? I don't know.
And because he was a Ranger will never win, so I don't care about that.
You gotta think of it like Shea Weber to the Norris. You nominate Shea Weber every single year, but you know he's not gonna win, so you kind of just laugh about it.
Speaking of which, I asked the question on Twitter. What award would you give if you what award would you create if you could give one out? And Mary M. Mix says, whatever would give Shea Weber the national acclaim he so richly deserves. I completely agree.
In which I replied, but he could only get second place. That's the rule.
Second best defender award.
Which he'll still get second place in that somehow.
Exactly.
You can get a participation ribbon too.
You tried. That's good. And Matthew Jensen said we should have something like the Razzies. Worst goalie, best dives, cheapest shots. Which the cheapest shots would obviously go to James Neal.
Yep.
Best dives would go to Mike Smith.
Ooh. I like that award.
Worst goalie, who would that be this year?
I'm gonna say,
Havlik.
yeah.
Pavlik.
It's hard to choose anyone else besides him.
I mean, for the,
Now that Trubisky is
for the
gone.
amount of time that they played, because there's some goalies that got lit up and they didn't play again, but for the amount of time that he actually played.
Mhm. I mean, you had Dubinsky, but he's kind of gone now, so
Oh, that's a good one, too.
it would have been between the two of them every single year.
Because they
probably.
tried him on different teams, too. They're like, oh, you're terrible in Edmonton, but our defense is, too, so we'll move you to someone with a defensive system. Still terrible.
Yeah, but you can say that he was bad for the Purds because of not knowing the system really that well.
I don't really care. If you're a goalie, you don't necessarily need to know the system. You just need to have the guys in front of you play well.
That's true.
Yep.
But they're also not playing that well. They
But
didn't really
still,
play well.
Definitely
some of
better
the ones
defense
that
than Edmonton, though, and he still didn't put up any better numbers.
Yeah.
Oh, Dubnik.
I have another question, too, as well. I don't know, maybe you covered this when I stepped away for a second, but should Eller Sports have awards for charity or sportsmanship or things like that the NHL does? Because the NHL is kind of unique in that regard.
hmm
Is that something that you think that we need, or something that other sports should have? Something that's non-play related?
I don't think there really should be an award for charity.
It should just be something you do, and you shouldn't need to be rewarded for it.
Yeah, that's my view on it.
Yeah.
I agree on that one.
Did you guys see what Matthew Jensen just posted to us?
No.
It's It's just a star with "You Tried" on it. It's called the Shea Weber Award. Yeah.
Well done, well done.
Okay.
So what's next? I mean, we're already over time by like 9 minutes now, so
Whatever, it's Friday.
yeah.
Now I had a couple other questions for you guys, if you guys are still up for it.
Sure.
Todd McClellan is staying in San Jose. Do you
Nope.
think that's a good move?
I mean,
According
it's
to the
not a bad
GM,
coach.
I think it's a good move now because who are you going to hire?
Torts.
That would be terrible.
that would be
That'd be
terrible.
hilarious.
That would be such an awful hire.
Where do you guys see Torts
Free
going
Torts.
anyway?
Nashville, I think, is going to be the best fit for him.
But
I think
he's-
Nashville's the best fit. I'd love to see him in Washington.
Yeah. Can you imagine him in
he would
Washington?
crash the
That'd be
Ovechkin so
hilarious.
You know, I asked this question earlier this week on Twitter, and I kind of meant it jokingly, but at the same time, why not? Mike Keenan just won the KHL championship in Russia.
Mhm.
Obviously, like he won that, and he stated that he never learned Russian. So he won that award, not even knowing the language, teaching Russian guys. Why? Like, would you think that maybe he could work in Washington with Ovechkin?
Maybe.
They don't really have good people for his system though. If you think about it, like with
Look
the
at-
Rangers, they did have better players to fit within his system, and you can see why he did bad in Vancouver. They don't have people for his system.
Look at Dale Hunter, too, what he tried to do with Ovi.
Yeah.
Ovi had a terrible year for his standards. And Dale Hunter was trying to make him into a more two-way player, kind of like what Boudreau was doing.
Hmm. Yeah, I just don't think that people would want him to become a defensive type forward, which is why they
I
keep
don't think the
losing
league
coaches.
wants that, and I don't think Washington fans want that. I think they understand his limitations.
Mhm.
Yeah, Washington's proud of his minus 67. They wear it with pride and joy.
Whatever. He had 50 goals. 50 and 14.
He has 50 goals and had minus 67. Like,
To be fair, his defense sucks so much.
and
It does.
90% of his goals came on the power play,
defense.
so.
That's the only reason I think Torch would be a decent fit is not because Ovechkin needs defense, it's because the team needs to learn how to play defense. They don't know what they're doing when they're back there.
So right now, then, who... We got Vancouver with a job vacancy, Washington with a job vacancy, Nashville with a job vacancy. Who else? Anybody right now? Florida?
Florida, I think they just fired their coach. Yeah. I can see Lavi going to the Washington.
I think Laviolette would be a better fit for the Panthers, personally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same here.
Yeah, I guess. I just really
Who
want
goes
to get another
Washington?
job.
That's such an interesting. Washington is such an interesting team to coach because I don't know, they're just not well rounded.
There's not really a whole lot of big names out there, so I think what we'll probably see is a lot of people from inside the organization get promoted.
Yeah.
That could happen. Or what about Trotz? Think he can go somewhere?
Oh,
One of
true.
them.
I think that Toronto's still going to hold out for him.
Hmm.
Yeah.
If Toronto doesn't dump Carlisle,
Which they should.
I would think that Washington will make a play for him.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
For
Because
Carlisle?
Trotz has just never had good forwards
Yeah.
in Nashville.
Yeah,
So
they kinda-
I
they've-
think that
they've
he's a
been a
good enough
purity.
coach to where he could coach their defense. Be like, Ovi, go do your thing. Backstrom, go do your thing.
Mhm.
You know, I just think he's a good enough coach to where it could work. But they still need a GM too. So Washington
they-
needs a lot right now.
Yeah, GM is gone, isn't he?
Yeah,
Yep.
George McPhee got fired. So
Vancouver needs a GM too, but apparently they're working on getting that fixed as well.
I have a
Apparently, it
feeling
looks like
Ron-
Linden's going to be doing everything.
That would be a terrible choice.
Isn't he like president of the universe or something like that?
Yeah,
He's
you
the
know
god of Vancouver.
you know who else does that too is Lou Lamoriello for the Devils. He's the president, GM, and CEO of the whole organization, and it drives me
Yeah.
insane.
But he does a
But
good job.
He has results at least.
Yeah.
I mean,
Has-
even if they
has
didn't,
he been
even if they didn't
performing,
win
yeah.
2 years ago, he has 3 championships in the last 20 years. I know that doesn't scream out at you, but at the same time, in the salary cap era, that's pretty good.
Yeah, but okay, their last championship, though, was before the 2004 lockout. There were a lot of changes made after that lockout
Yeah.
happened.
True.
I just think, too, I'll use this as an example. With Kovalchuk, I think one of the big reasons that Zach also left New Jersey, not so much that he wanted to go home, but Lou was spending most of his time trying to get Colby signed to a long-time deal when it was you could easily say that Parise was going to be the face of that franchise.
Mm-hmm.
So he's spending more time trying to get Colby signed. Meanwhile, he's leaving Zach in the dark. And I don't know if you guys remember this, but he had him signed to 1 year just to avoid arbitration. What really should have happened is instead of trying to get Colby signed to 17 years worth $100 million, he should have tried getting Parise signed to a long-term deal.
Mm.
Yeah.
Parise, someone you don't let a Parise type player go.
No, not a guy that's that important to the organization, too. You look on Reddit, even talking to Devils fans, you can just see how much they miss the guy.
Yeah. And plus, they had brought in Bryce Salvador to be their captain.
Then there was Ponikarovsky, too. He left in free agency, and then they traded back for him. I think they traded a third-round pick for him, too, even.
Well, to be fair, Ponikarovsky was terrible in LA, and then he was terrible everywhere but New Jersey during that time period. So he fit their system, nowhere else, pretty much.
Yeah, but he's so terrible. I wouldn't give up a third-round pick to get him. I don't know. I want to say the goalie situation's kind of on him too, but at the same time, I mean, there's also Brodeur just refusing to retire. But
Yeah, I put that 100% on Brodeur. That's yeah.
I'll put it this way though: the New Jersey shouldn't have had to spend a 9th-round pick just to get Schneider, or a goalie to take over for Brodeur.
9th round, 9th overall.
9th
You
overall.
know-
Sorry.
I find it hard though to not sympathize with Brodeur when you're one of the best goaltenders of all time.
Kind of hard to
You
give it
love
up.
what you do.
But when your
If,
team,
if you love going to work, mind you, like you and I and other people, how many of us have a job we really, really love to show up every day for?
Hey man,
If
I love
that-
taking photos.
Yeah, well that's true, but how much do you pay for that?
That's an undisclosed amount. I'm not comfortable sharing.
Well, I'm just saying.
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean, but at the same
You're
time,
not
too,
making millions of dollars doing that, Abe. I'm sorry, but Martin Brodeur is getting paid
Crushing
millions
so
of
many
dollars
dreams.
to do what he loves right now. Why would you give that up if you didn't have to?
Here's
So
my
I
argument.
feel
Here's
for
my
him
argument
as
against
well.
that, though, is that there's a point where you have to realize you are being selfish and you are hurting the organization more than you are helping.
and let's put it this way too. The organization has done so much for Brodeur. At what point, like, can you not step aside and play a few less games and really just help the team? I think that at this point you've been with them for 18 years. You should love the team more than you love yourself, if that makes sense.
They
I've
even
always-
drafted his shitty son just out of sentiment.
I mean, I'll say this: the couple Devils fans I've talked to, it's kind of been a mixed reaction with Brodeur. Sometimes he kind of acts like a diva. Sometimes he kind of acts, like good, really friendly with the fans. But I just, it's like at the beginning of the season too, he even said that the torch was basically passed on to Schneider as the starter. But yet you can just kind of tell he's been whining about wanting to get more starts. And then when he does get the starts, he does terrible in them. Like in the Stadium series, when he let in 7 goals. Instead of saying, well, yeah, I didn't play good or anything, he just says, oh, that ice was terrible out there. Well, guess what? Another team was playing on there too, and they won.
Yep.
I just think with Brodeur, I get the point that he's been doing this his whole life, and he loves it, and that's fine. But I think at point 2, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, am I actually helping this team or am I hurting them more?
And
But
statistically,
I don't
you've
think
been
you put that
average-
onus on him because he's not in charge of the team. It's kind of like Brett Favre in the NFL. Teams gave up on him because they didn't need him anymore because he was old. The Devils seem to be hanging on to Brodeur when they don't need to, and they could be like, you know what, you're cut. But out of sentiment, Lou's not getting rid of him. So you
And that's
can't.
And that's
Like,
why I
if
say he should be
Brodeur's
the
still
GM.
getting paid to do this, why would he stop? At that point, it's not on Brodeur, and you can't say that he's being selfish when you yourself would probably keep hanging on to make that money and do what you love to do. It's on Lou, and Lou should get rid of Brodeur.
And that's why I
But
said
the thing is that
the
we're
Devils
not-
need a
we're
new
not-
GM.
We're saying that he should just accept less starts because he'd still be playing. The thing is that he's wanting to be a starter when he's been a mediocre goalie for about 4 years now.
I see what you're saying as well,
Mm.
but until this season, there's no way I would have started anybody else but Brodeur during that time period.
Yeah, because they had no one
Oh,
to
yeah.
start. It was either him or Mitch Hed.
Even
not
if he
Mitch
was
Hedberg,
mediocre,
Johan Hedberg.
still.
Mitch Hedberg.
Yeah. Another aging goalie. What do you know?
You mean Johan Hedberg?
Hey
Dave
guys, you know what?
Hedberg.
Guys, you know what?
Playing goalie. You know,
I
I
used
used to like stopping pucks. I used
still-
to, but I still do.
Sorry guys, yeah. guys, listen, okay? I used to do drugs, all right? I still do, but I used to too. Jeez, bro.
That was so fucking hilarious.
I'm gonna go back to my corner now. God, I hope no one on Twitter heard that.
I don't think we have any viewers right now. So.
Oh my God.
I'm posting it to Twitter. Though.
Thanks a lot.
Come on, it was hysterical.
Yeah.
I'm totally posting this on our hockey.
Oh yeah. If there's any podcast that needs to be shared, it's this one.
Being starting off with Dave's Gone Wild, and now we're on to this.
Oh, right. Oh, jeez. This one's the scandalous Dave's. Oh, man. Okay, boys. Well, I gotta head out, so I'll leave the rest of the podcast to you guys. But
Probably should be ending it soon anyway.
Yeah, we can end it on Mitch Hedberg. You know, no big deal.
Yeah.
Dave has to go visit Hedberg. I'm out of here. Bye.
Later, Gimbo.
Later, guys.
See you later.
Well, we got one more question before we end.
Yeah, on the Q&A. Quick rundown of who we think is going to be the game breakers, X factors in each series.
Okay, I'm gonna say for LA and Anaheim, it's gonna be Kopitar and Getzlaf.
Yeah, that's probably going to be true there. I got it.
I'm gonna go with, in that series, I'm gonna go with Quick and Getzlaf. Because, like I said before, we got offense versus defense. And I think Kopitar and Getzlaf are going to be faced off against each other a lot. So, in the end, I think it's going to come down to the goaltending. I'm going to take Quick. And if Getzlaf can beat Kopitar, then that's going to work for Anaheim.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually going to change what I just said a couple seconds ago and going to go with either goaltenders. Whoever is the goaltender for Anaheim really needs to step it up. And it's going to be between him and Quick. It's going to be a goaltender duel, I think, the series. When it's going to have to come down to be.
The other West
Boston.
matchup, yeah, we'll go East.
In a Boston series, I mean, obviously, I think you saw last night, it's got to be Carey Price for Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
If he's not good enough, they're not going to win because they are overmatched. And for Boston, I think that you need somebody to put the puck in the net right now, so I'm picking Iginla for that. I think Iginla should be the hungriest since he's a guy that can put up 30 goals, and wants to get a victory and wants to get a Stanley Cup before, he retires. So I think Iginla's got to be the guy driving that offense right now.
I'm going to say it's going to be Vanek for Montreal. Everyone says he's a big Bruins killer, and now that he's in Montreal, they're going to want him to prove it. This is what they've heard about him all, throughout his whole career. Mm-hmm. So it's time for him to step up and see if he actually is the Bruin killer that everyone says. For Boston, I'm going to say it's going to be Chara. He's kind of taken a step back this year, and I think to go along with, in correlation with my Vanek pick, it's going to be on Chara to slow that whole line down. Him and I believe Seidenberg plays with him on the blue line, but yep.
Yeah, I think so. For me, for that series, it's going to probably be, I forgot Vanek was on the team, but it's probably going to either be him or Carey Price is going to be the X factor, definitely. More so Carey Price being, one of the better goaltenders in the league, and him playing up to everything. And for the Bruins, it's probably going to be, I'm going to say Krejci. Krejci is going to have to play big this series to be able to score the goals and be who he is. My opinion.
In the New York-Pittsburgh series,
Rick Nash is going to have to be better. It's going to come down to him, I think, scoring more goals, really. And for the Penguins, I'm going to have to say Fleury, not being bad. Probably what it's going to come down to be for me.
I'm going to go with Crosby as the X factor. He didn't. I don't think he scored a goal at all in the Columbus series.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
Despite what everyone says about Fleury, if Crosby's not going to be putting the puck in the net, I realize he's making plays out there, but at the same time too, that guy's got to carry that offense.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to say for New York, I'm going to say Lundqvist actually. He he's made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. I want to see him I want to see if he can do it again, and if he can will that team to the Stanley Cup Finals. So he's going to have to come up big against the Pittsburgh offense because they are dangerous, even with Crosby not scoring.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go a little bit outside here and say Dan Girardi for New York. New York doesn't have the shutdown center that Columbus did in Umberger, or excuse me, not Umberger. What's his name? Like Dubinsky that Columbus had against Crosby. So you got to have your best defenseman going up against Crosby and Malkin, and Dan Girardi's got to play the most minutes because he's a defensive defenseman. If he can shut them down, I think that they'll be okay because Lundqvist can play, and for Pittsburgh, I personally think that it's Fleury. I don't think there's any. It's hard for me to say anybody else because I think the rest of their team's going to put the puck in the net at some point, and their defense is decent enough. So he just got to be there.
Definitely. And then the last series is going to be the Hawks and the Wild. Who do you guys think are the X factors there?
Yeah, for Chicago, I'm going to say Crawford.
Mm-hmm.
The team in front of him is so good, but there's complaints about Crawford too. That he lets in weak goals. I mean, even I've seen it too when we played them. He'll let in at least one weak goal. I think if Crawford basically comes out and he plays how he can, then he'll be able to shut down the Wild. For the Wild, their X factor, it's got to be Parise.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that guy basically Gamboa said it earlier, that guy basically willed them to win 7 games. So he's got to come up big for the Wild, especially against this team.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
I think for me personally, it's got to be Brizgalov for the Wild because if Kemper's not going to play, if he's hurt with a concussion or whatever else, there's nobody else they can count on right now.
Mm-hmm.
For your goaltending beyond that, I mean, who do you have backing him up right now?
John Curry, AHL goalie.
So it's Brizgalov for me there, and then I think for Chicago has the best wingers in the league. But beyond Taves, who do you got for your second line center?
I think Ben Smith's right there. They have Marcus Kruger, and then
that's
fourth
what I'm
line.
saying is guys.
That's our second line center.
They won last year without a real good second line center either, but they still had somebody step up at the right time. And if they're gonna win again, you gotta have depth down the middle. So Ben Smith and Kruger are the guys that I'm looking at.
Yeah. For me, the Wild it's definitely going to come down to Parise or Brizgalov for both of them. I got to go with both of your picks. I can't decide between the two of them. Parise does need to play out of his mind and will the team, and Brizgalov needs to be the goaltender that we kind of saw in Phoenix. So, with him, he was second in Vezina voting and then fourth the year before that. So he can be a goaltender if he has the right system in front of him. So he definitely has to dig deep for that. But for the Blackhawks, I'm going to say it's going to be either Taves or Kane. It's going to come down to them being who they are. Kane is one of the better, shooters in the league, so he definitely needs to step it up more. So. And then Taves needs to be the goaltender the center that we know he is, in my opinion.
All right.
Okay.
Anything else?
I think we covered everything. So, this has been the D4 The Mighty Dave Show. You can find me, Dave Ball, at Blinson1 on Twitter or Blinson on Reddit. And where are they going to find you guys at?
You can find me on Twitter. I am @_Hobbs27. On Reddit, I am Abe Froman 1986.
And I am LA Kings Dave on both Reddit and Twitter. And I just want to give a shout out tomorrow night, or tomorrow day actually, at 2 Eastern, we got the Toddlers.
Hopefully.
At 2.
Toddlers at 2, yeah, that's their show.
And then we have Summary Sundays going on as well. So we got a schedule throughout the week. If anybody's listening to this, check out ourhockeycast.com and also Reddit/rhockeycast.com, and that's OUR hockeycast.
Mhm.
So
We'll be posting all of our videos after each show up there, so you can listen through there, and you can also comment on them and let us know what we can do better, basically. So, hope you guys have a great night. It's been nice talking to you guys.
Yep,
You
go
too.
wild.
yeah, go Kings. And Dave, I'm sorry about the Flyers. Who are you rooting for?
In the West, it's going to be the Wild. I'm debating changing my flair to that, and in the East, I'm going to go with the Rangers for this round at least.
Good call.
Difficult.
All right, guys.
All right. So have
You
a good night.
weekend.